Welcome everybody to Reach Launch Day, and everyone on the channel, everyone in chat, everyone in the Andrews community, thanks so much for being here. We're going to play some games today, we're going to talk to the devs today, and we're going to celebrate Reach coming out 4 o'clock today, UK time. Don't know where it is anywhere else in the world. I'm joined by some devs today from Elevation to talk about their game. Guys, do you want to take it in turns to introduce yourself to the stream?
Sure, I'm Kalina, I'm a senior concept artist. Hello.
Hi, I'm Glenn Brace. I'm the head of studio for Elevation. And Will?
Hi, I'm Will. I'm a level designer, and I've done a chunk of the writing on Reach as well.
Cool. All right, so plan is, guys. Will is going to go play the game.
Yep.
Off you
Go!
On my way.
Chop, chop.
Will's going to play the game, so we're going to show you guys a section of the game from the beginning that is just after the very, very beginning. And Glenn here and Kalina here are going to talk through some things that we're seeing, stuff like that. And then throughout the next hour or so, we're going to show you guys some cool stuff, take your questions. So if you've got anything that you want to ask the guys, any three of them, just drop it in chat and we'll try and answer it. Cool.
Cool.
All
Let's
right,
do
let's
it.
play the
Let's
game.
Go, Will.
Cool. So I guess best place to start is, where are we, roughly, and what's going on?
So this is just after the sort of tutorial onboarding spoiler.
I'm not sure if it's a spoiler because of the internet these days, but essentially you're in a South American town inspired by La Paz, but not actually La Paz, but that kind of location, that kind of style place. And at this point, you're just learning the backstory of Rosa. You used to live here, you grew up here, you come from a background of knowing a bit of parkour and all sorts, hence being a stunt woman. And yeah, you're en route to the church. So at this point, we've just missed it off screen, but essentially you can explore the city and it's a chance to find your way to the church because you want to visit someone from your family, your sister. But I'll stop there because it will flow on through the level.
This is some very cool graffiti here. Kalina, I was wondering if you could talk a little about this part of the game, the setting, the inspiration for it. Like, where did you guys draw inspiration from, and how did you want the players to feel at this point, I guess?
Everything's changed.
As Glenn mentioned, it's a South American town, and the graffiti you saw actually is right behind Will. It was inspired by a lot of, yes, that one, a lot of famous South American street art that's very characteristic, very bold and vivid, and this whole space is very bold and vivid. So it's a place Rosa visits and feels a sense of nostalgia, and remembers her past, the place where she grew up. So the sense of nostalgia and memories, pleasant memories, were something we wanted to capture in the environment.
Yeah, it's a very sort of warm place at this point.
Yeah.
So we want to acclimatise the player because this game's got a lot to unfold.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, this is part of that sort of long form onboarding as well. So at the moment, we're doing traversal stuff that you're seeing here that Will's getting through and we'll start showing more of. We've upped the game of traversal. So this is a chance to sort of get used to the rules of traversal of this game, how you interact, what you grab, the whole full body awareness, grip system, so on and so on and so on. So it's kind of establish the character, get that mood that is quite warm, quite cozy at this point, and yeah, get to grips with how traversal can be in VR.
Okay. So I guess talking of getting to grips and just settling the player in a little bit.
Ooh.
Do you want to that was a great jump, Will. I mean, obviously, so something that's really big in Reach is obviously the level of immersion that's taking place here with all these jumps, these leaps, and this tactile movement stuff. Can you just, I don't know, talk a little bit about either of you about the core inspirations for the game, and then off the back of that, what you really want players to feel while they're playing Reach?
Go ahead.
Okay. So there's a number of inspirations, and some of it's legacy stuff from developments we've done in the past. Some of it's from other evergreen influential titles. Yeah, there's no doubt. We've grown up with Tomb Raider. Action adventure is a staple of that genre. Even games we've devved in the past, Fract and so on, and also going back to Phantom.
Yeah.
That legacy runs through, and I think that comes from immersion and a sense of presence.
Right.
So the whole game has a through line of we want you to sort of feel the emotion of the moment. And by that, we mean like that second to second play is really important you feel it. So action adventure was a natural place to put that in. So I'd say that's the Phantom essence coming through. We had a lot of sort of wins with Phantom where we discovered like in the moment in the reads, it really got the heart pounding and those little moments become really strong. Oh, I thought you were going to do the old cocktail thing and juggle it. Can he? Hey! Oh!
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh!
Yeah. So essentially, we went on to go. Well, action adventure was the space we want to go to because we wanted to take the situation of like being a survivor against the odds, being in constant peril, and that sense of ever-present threat and tension. So that was the sort of the backbone. So what we need to do then was just map out what is that emotional curve over a long-form game because like there are hours and hours of play here. So hence why. The game has quite a long, I don't want to say onboarding, because it's not just tutorial, it's kind of like get used to traversal, get used to the character, get used to your backstory, introduce tools, and just bring it all on, because what we end up doing is once you're up to speed, we then start testing your mettle in terms of like, not just gameplay, but your emotional tolerance, because VR is an emotional amplifier, and we ride that, we use that. So this is the introduction of that, just a little bit of verticality, a bit of getting used to what you can do, before we really start testing what you should do.
Understood. Yeah. So I think something players will have probably already seen from our trailers and from what Will's doing now, but when you're playing as Rosa, it really feels like, you're really there and there is a strong, the action elements of the game really feel like, not just you're there, but they're really making you feel in a way that I think lots of other VR games just don't achieve. So talking of Rosa as an emotional experience, everyone has seen her, obviously. We haven't spoiled too many of the other characters. Can you talk a little bit about like where Rosa came from, and then also when and how you guys settled on like just the design of Rosa as a character?
Sure. So Rosa is a stunt woman. It's probably mentioned already in multiple trailers and places. Yeah. Main characters go through so many iterations on every single project. So there was tons and tons of sketches done to actually arrive at her design. And in her case, it was, I think, a mixture of searching for solutions for the character to show her character and her vibe and make her a real heroine and make her look unique and special, while at the same time maintaining a lot of functionality. When you climb and jump, you have to be dressed in a specific way, which allows you for this amount of movement. So the practicality of what she does in a game.
So we're not wearing a suit.
Yeah, exactly. It has to be taken into consideration.
A wedding gown, leaping across the streets. Yeah, we started there, but we hit a few problems.
And also, technical limitations. You don't want Rosa to wear a cape that will get in the way as she's jumping, for example, or exactly. Or showing her forearms, because in VR we'll be seeing a lot of hands and arms. Close.
Yeah.
How are you going to pay for that?
Yeah. So the idea was to make Rosa feel intuitive, but also, I guess, she's not a superhero, right?
Yeah, exactly. She's a woman with a set of special skills. Not many people can do this. But yeah, she doesn't have superpowers. She's a girl thrown into the chaos of what's happening on screen.
Yes, it starts very grounded, doesn't it? It's like the idea is, she's very physical. The physicality is very obvious from the start. Like you start with if you take an analogy from other genres, like Tomb Raider again, she's just really capable, but she's not a superhero per se in terms of abilities. Whereas this game, starts you right at that sort of athletic sort of character vessel that you inhabit and you play. But via sort of technology and stuff we'll see unfold, we can push you towards superhero with various bits and bobs. So for us, it was like start grounded, get used to it, get the physicality, and then we start introducing you to the stuff that's like way beyond normal human capability.
And Rosa does react to the weirdness happening around her. Like she's not immune to all the events. She asks some very reasonable questions anyone in this situation would ask. Whenever she gets the new cool gear, she reacts, or finds herself in later parts of the game.
All right. I mean, so I guess off of that then, when you're designing a flat screen game, right? The most of the time you're always going to see the person you're playing as most of the time, right? So what did you guys prioritize after, like, obviously concepting, making a main character in VR, someone you spend a lot of time with, like getting across that personality, but also understand, most of the time when we're playing VR, we just see our hands, maybe our legs sometimes. So like, what was that like for you guys?
It was an interesting one because ultimately it comes back to the goal, which is immersion and presence. So the whole FBA seeing your body is not just a stylistic
Feet.
thing. Oh yeah, look, you got feet. You can jump.
Look
Do
at
all
those
sorts.
trainers.
Yeah. It actually does a lot more behind the scene as well. So the goal of immersion and presence, the FBA adds so much functionality too. So we can use it to predict where the body is. We can do it for player intent as much as it as a visual cue. So there is an underlying technical implementation, which means the body, having a full body solve run all the time, real time, means we've got a lot more data points to play with. So that is another layer of, let's say, implementation fidelity that we've sort of not seen before. And then the other thing is, believability. Your limbs can't go crazy. You don't what we call chicken wings. So the simulation of where your elbows are and how all those work have to sort of solve and work as well. So bear in mind, you are traversing in a world of normal to crazy. You can get in some pretty freaky situations, and to the point where even a real body probably wouldn't cope, So we've got to sort of run that fine line of like gamification, action you want to do in a game versus reality, which is probably more painful than this. So trying to get a body to maintain that sense of belief and believability and be as agile as you want it to be in a game and be responsive as a game and maintain your sense of fantasy. That's a real tough rope to walk. And that's what we feel we've done and landed on. It is that kind of gamification, believability. It's not like a real world simulation, because obviously this would be very hard in the real world. So to the question of that, the character, there's the fictional character, then there's the actual physicality of the character. So the other thing is we have a sense of sort of physics and weight throughout the world. So when people play this, they'll realize that like back in the Wii era, you can wiggle the controller and do silly things and all those bits and bobs. Or if anyone's done any like monkey bars in a VR game, you just pull through the bars and it goes right through your chest. You don't do that with this game because you have a sense of weight. Weight is simulated. You might see there with the planks. When we pulled the planks, the arms pulled and the plank bent. You can't just monkey bar in a silly way with the controllers because there is friction and weight on the body solve. So the next layer is actually all of that, is actually getting the physicality to represent and work with the physics. So when you stack all that up, before we even get into the story, so the character as a whole is a very complex implementation, which is why we summarize as FBA. It actually means loads of things, right, to physics on the fingers. Like you can interact with the whole world. Like a while ago, people said, oh yeah, you've got the system from Fractal Cover, and that was a great mechanic. I mean, we loved playing with that. But that was very much sort of blueprint flagged. Like now, like the whole world is interactable in that sense. So like there isn't a cover system per se. Anything could be cover. So getting the body and your character and all that to work together with the physics fingers of small things, running around, climbing in crags, using all the tools and making it responsive. It is a spaghetti problem and a difficult one to actually get in there. So the answer to your question was, it was damn hard. Is the truth of it.
Believable. I just want to sit on physicality a little bit, but someone in the chat has asked if we're playing on PC right now. Yes, this is a PC build, and we are playing it with a Quest 3S headset. For everyone referencing. So sitting on physicality a little bit. So obviously everyone on the stream can't see, but you can probably imagine Will is putting in a lot of work right now. The monkey bars, the pulling things off. He's having to really move his arms around. I guess, are we saying that Reach is a little bit of a workout in places?
And
this
discussion's been raging on the internet since we announced this game. I've been like holding myself back, like not getting goaded into this. I'm like, no, I can't say. So this is a somewhat design choice nuance in the sense that it is not a one-to-one simulation. We're not doing like a surgical sim. Oh, there we go, near death, near death. That was lucky that ladder dropped down. Cool. So with that in mind, yeah, we want to drive a sense of flow and a sense of speed and flow. So run, jump, hop, skip, go, get that parkour flow going. Now, ultimately, it's a platforming kind of mindset. And with that, there's a bit of gamification. So we need to sort of bridge that gap between what is a simulation and what is that fun gamification, which is where we landed. So with that in mind, we've got the added problem of comfort. So there's a whole thing in VR. I remember like when VR first started, you had to teleport or death, or now you can do something on rails or death, or snap turn only or death, and it was always like this hard rule of what you can and can't do. Yeah. So we kind of threw caution to the wind on that one and basically just pushed forward with the belief of if it's a predictable movement that you expect to happen, you're good. So with that rule, we just sort of said ignore what's gone before. If you can have a system where the game reacts in the way you expect, general, it'll be a So that has led us with a solution which is the gestures are there. And if you want to role play and throw your arms up in the air and run and do all those things, you absolutely can. And the game supports that. FBA simulates it and it looks great and it's phenomenal. And you've seen that in some of the trailers. It's a right crack. Yeah. If you want to sit down on your sofa and do tiny little gestures and jump,
you can relax.
You can. Yeah, you can sit on that sofa and do a little gesture and the character will still jump. So like you can attune to your pace and your play style, and the game will cope. Yeah. And the other things that matter, like I've seen, people, why do I snap turn? I should be able to turn in real world scale. What do you know? You can. Like you can actually stand up and do it room scale and turn around, and it all works. Beyond that, a lot of games actually you have to sort of define whether you're seated or standing, give certain controls. We dynamically change. So if you were to play standing and do room scale turning and decide you want to sit down, you just do that and it will recalibrate and do it on the fly. Incredible. So you can go from seated play to standing play and back again. Yeah. You can do room scale, you can use snap turn. Okay. It's your choice. So I've seen people like later on, they're diving to the floor looking for cover and duck, with other people are grabbing cover and moving themselves down while standing. And you know what? It all works. It doesn't matter. It's your choice. So it comes down to how much you want to lose yourself into that role play and how much you just want to casually experience and do. And that is a thing. We want to broaden the audience of VR. And one thing I'm really proud of, and proud of the team for doing and sticking through, is I really believe that we've got a traversal control system that is more broad than you might think. A lot of people say this is absolutely core. Actually, it's more accessible than you might think. So I encourage everyone, give it a try and see how you get on. We have all of the comfort settings, like a massive list, loads, and all sorts. Some people love sprint lines, some people want to turn sprint lines off, that's fine. A little shout out to a few of our people there. Sprint lines, definitely, you can toggle them on and off. You can tune all that stuff. But it is accessible. As much as on the video it looks like, oh my God, that is a hurl fest, give it a go and try, because if you expect the movement, which is something that we've done a lot of work on, you're pretty good with it.
All right, so for people like myself who like to do a lot of role playing every game I play, we can start being very energetic, very expression, and then when we're tired, sit down and the game plays exactly the same way. No problem. Perfect.
Big old role play gestures or small on the couch gestures.
I think we're getting to something cool. So I wonder if we just let Will play this out for a bit. Don't fall. I mean, you can see here in the gameplay, right? Like everything is reacting to you, even being able to move the bell, pick up like little keyboards, pick up little bits of bottles of wine and things like this. Oh.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that is around the edge that does work. It's quite nice to explore. I mean, Will's played this lot, so he just flipped through that. Like even like the bits of wall falling apart and all that stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of little moments there. Like often we talk about what we call the granny run, where people get in their first time, they're like, oh my God, that's broken. Oh, and they're like tiptoeing around and feeling it out. Versus, Will's speed run.
this is extremely cool. So some people may have seen this from trailers. If you haven't, this is the first time seeing it in chat. But something has happened, and we're getting this moment where we're descending into the... I'm going to call it the Underworld for now. People just don't say anything. So down the rabbit hole. I have always been fascinated by this. I don't know what to call this thing, but this kind of like environment transition here, like looking up and coming down. Like obviously things are broken, things are floating. As we'll go through this area, do you mind just like talking about like how you guys decided to like create this kind of environmental shift and like what, I guess, yeah, like how did you create this like feeling and like how was it like moving from the overworld to the underworld to like create that?
So we are moving from a very grounded, realistic world to something clearly going wrong, right?
Yeah.
But we want to, yeah. So you want to see the elements of the grounded world falling apart, and that's where you see all the floating elements and the gravity shifted and all of that. And along the way, you will see little hints of entering a different world. So it's a little introduction to what's waiting, like here, the little bugs. Little weirdos, yeah. What's waiting for you down the line? So it brings a nice introduction to the rest of the world, but also a bit of visual variety after we blitzed through the real world.
It's lovely seeing little dynamic lights with Oppo and bits of bobs running around.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I went. Oh. Always forward. Yeah, when I was playing through this bit myself, I just found like, for me, this is one of the most enjoyable experience I've had in a long time of like just this slow transition from like something I know very well, as in like, yeah, I've never been in Latin America, but like, you know what the real world looks like, and then you go through this. This looks like my actual sewer. Yeah, and then like this, when you're pulling yourself through this and you get this really good feeling of like, something mysterious is about to happen, you know? Oh my. Yeah.
You feel the tension of the character. You
This is actually insane.
It's cool how this game makes me feel claustrophobic, and 2 seconds later I'm just terrified of height. I pull myself from those cups and then look down. Oh my god!
I mean, it's something that's difficult to get across. But VR players will know this. But like when you're in something like this, the sense of scale really matters.
Yeah.
And like when you're looking down at things, all these floating. Oh, I mean, look at this.
Oh, Will, I've got a challenge
Look
for
at
you
this
here. I
anti-gravity.
wonder if Will could do this. I'll do this on the side. Right, grab the chair. Right, I want you to lob it across to the side, right, and race it. See if you can beat the chair. Right, go, 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 go! Beat the chair.
Didn't move very far.
Ah. Oh, Death. Nah, he's rubbish. He's rubbish, isn't he?
But yeah, this sense of scale with the floating things, it really makes a huge difference to the player, right? And I find it a bit fascinating how, like, you know, were you as I guess as an art team, putting yourself in the mind of the person playing it when you were scoping out like what it might feel like to look at these things, or then when you played it for the first time, did it feel different afterwards as well?
Well, it does feel different once you put the headset on. Like there's no replicating 2D into headset naturally.
I mean, yeah.
Like until you put the headset. Yeah, but yeah, the idea is always to design from the player's perspective and player's experience point of view. You know, you basically start with questions: what do we want the player to feel in this instance, and then you look for ways to achieve those goals.
Yeah, so that's an important aspect there in terms of like all of the world design. Where often we quote sort of VR first as a collective sort of set of principles, but specifically to your point, one of the things the team has really crafted and honed the craft is the sense of depth testing and depth perception. So when building all these worlds, you know, we go from concept with the idea of what would be depth testing, but until you get into 3D, you don't know the sort of exact result of that. And it's not just like fluke or luck or even just composition. So the team have crafted an understanding of what is the right amount of depth to parallax nicely. Right. So you have enough layers, you probably can't see me, I'm layering my hands down, but enough layers. So when you do move your head and look around, you're seeing things pass through things. And what that's doing, that is the perfect amount of parallax to illustrate the depth. Because obviously the beauty of stereoscopic rendering in VR is depth perception, right?
Yeah.
So these environments aren't just there because they're cool, they're actually probing your depth perception at the clearest value. So there's enough steps and spaces we really illustrate things moving behind things. So it accentuates it. It's something we started chipping away on Phantom because it was a lot slower paced. And then we've taken that principle again and really honed it down. So like even there, going through, revealing, it's something that in VR you can really rely on and use and wield.
I mean, all of these. Do you mind just looking down a little bit, Will, into the yeah? I mean, look at it. You look up, and then it's like the real way. You look down, it's this really kind of bluey texture that makes it feel kind of abnormal, right?
There's a beam sticking out in front of him. If he goes sideways, that parallaxes nicely against the thing below that. And there's layers to it, 1, 2, 3, and there's not fuss in between. You know, it's very selectively placed and chosen to test your depth perception.
Slightly off. We've got a question from someone in the YouTube chat. Rocket Tommy is asking, after you knew what kind of game it was going to be, how long did it take to
Okay.
When do we define the moment when we know what game is going to be?
I can put a timeline on it. I can't remember the exact amount of months, but essentially, we had an approach that we have spoken about before. So when we started the studio, which was like 3 years and, what's the start? What are we in now? I forget, October. So 3 years, 8 months ago, we probably spent the first like 5 months actually starting a studio. And by that, I mean like it was just me and Jack, the projector, and then we had to hire people. Most people had 3-month notice period. So it took a good 5 months to even get the establishing core small team.
Right.
You know, so take that into account. And during that time, we were obviously looking at a lot of VR and putting plans down. Then the 9 months after that, when we had to start the team, we purposely put the game aside and we approached it as it's almost like a hypothesis. We said we believe that one-to-one physical interaction is the route to strong presence. And he's showboating
Will
now.
loves these wine bottles.
So we actually spent the first 9 months like proving that hypothesis and go, well, how? So, action adventure we landed on because it was that sense of peril we wanted to prove. So we knew we were playing in that space. So we did a whole series of prototypes going, well, actually, can you traverse freely? Can we do physical can we drive a player with physical one-to-oneness so you're not, abstracting movement, like moving with a stick and stuff. So we spent 9 months trying all sorts. We thought jumping was going to be a nightmare, and actually it ended up getting solved quite quickly. And then other things we thought were simple ended up being an absolute nightmare, and so on and so on. So it took us 9 months to land on what we called a proof of concept, where we did a 45-minute proof of concept of action adventure in VR and how it makes you feel.
Right.
And that wasn't this story, it wasn't this character set, it wasn't this world, it was an actual proof of concept. So we started with a set of core mechanics and a sense of feeling and fun before we laid down what this game was. So we were in a luxury position to go, well, we found the fun, we know where the fun is, and that was heavily reliant on traversal and the second to second. So the game started with, well, what's the hour to hour? And that's when we start thinking about, well, what is the sense of progression? Where are we going to go? Where does combat come into play? And all these other things. So second to second was resolved, moved on to that. So anyway, so that was the turning point 9 months in.
9 months. Okay.
So then I believe it ended up being about just under 2.5 years, I think, from going into pre-production to production to the back end, mastering on all platforms, bear in mind it's a lot of platforms, to where we are today.
And then today.
Yeah. So it's probably, yes. So it's a breakdown like that.
Wow. So a long time.
A long time.
3.5, 4.
Well, it's it's 3.5 years, but
Yeah.
nine of that is prototyping what we want to do, and actually a bit more of that is actually building a studio from scratch.
Yeah.
The other thing I just want to stress is we built a game, but we also built a technology stack.
Wow.
So to do this, FBA, we have Interact, which is our proprietary tool system, and it's a set of modules and VR first tools that build upon Unreal that actually go out, are made for this game, but we can roll that out across Endreams games.
Yeah.
So we're literally elevating the quality of VR for all projects.
Yeah.
So we have been building technology and the game at the same time.
Yeah.
Those doors look like they could be.
I hope that answers your question, Rocket Tommy. I think. Wow. Okay. We've got a question for Kalina.
This is
Because this is very cool. I'm thinking this is a good point to get Will onto the sofa. We've got a couple of combat questions, so we're gonna quickly swap headsets, guys.
Right.
And then we can ask Will some questions. Thank you, Glenn. In the meantime, while they're doing that, guys, we have something very cool to show you. Check this out.
There's a button, I don't know what it does.
Where? Ta-da! Oh, there we go.
You should put this on.
This is a very cool jacket that has been made just for this game. If you stay to the end of the stream, I will tell you how one of you lucky people can win this very cool jacket. No.
I already asked first.
No, not you either, and not Glenn either. But someone in the community can win this very cool jacket with one of our competitions next week, so stay tuned. Right. Kalina.
Mm-hmm.
We have just appeared in a space that looks very cool.
Yeah.
Also, I should say first, thanks for playing well.
Well done.
Well done. This space that we just turned into looks very different to the real world, I want to say. And lots of people have seen this in our trailers. Can you talk a little bit about like what you... I don't know, it sounds like such a silly question. How did you guys settle on the design for this? And then what did you want to like emotionally convey about this? And how does it link to the wider story of the world, the game? Yeah.
So the whole world, because obviously this vista represents it, is the first time we actually see the Underworld in its full glory.
Right.
So it's all informed by the architectural style and the style of environments of the rest of the world. And the idea was always to create an ownable, bold, vivid world, which exists in contrast to gritty realism of some other titles.
Not naming names.
Not naming names, yeah. So we create something that's very unique, very ours, and a space the players would want to explore because they will spend quite a lot of time there in VR, and they will see a lot of stuff up close. So it was really important to us to infuse this these spaces with a bit of whimsy and beauty.
Okay.
And the actual vista we just saw. Should we wait until it appears on the screen, or?
I think maybe we'll wait until it appears on the screen.
Yeah, because it's it's a bit easier to talk about visuals when you look at visuals.
We're having a very minor tech issue. I think changing over the headset was a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, so in general about the visual design of the world, it's obviously inspired by the real world, partially.
Yeah.
We looked at, a lot of ancient civilizations and took elements of them. So the scale, verticality, monumentality, symmetry, making you feel like you are in this awe-inspiring world.
Mm-hmm.
And then we added elements of sci-fi and magical elements and some celestial bits to make those spaces feel more magical and interesting and unique and ownable.
Okay.
There's kind of a step change in scale as you get to the Underworld as well. Obviously, when you're in the overworld, in the level that I've just played through, everything is human-sized as you would expect. The doors are fit for someone like us to go through.
Yeah.
As soon as you get to the Underworld, suddenly, as you can see from that big vista, everything is huge. Like you'll find yourself climbing on the side of a statue that's bigger than anything that we would have here.
Yeah.